Hi, DeRusso with the Majestic Rider. So today I'm here with Disco. I showed you him when he first came in, and now he's getting better. And so we're just working on things. He's standing nicely at the mounting block. We've done the lateral flexion with him, and he's doing that pretty well in his snaffle. I've just been riding him in this snaffle. I usually ride, whatever the owner wants me to ride them in. Things are a little bit harder with the snaffle. You have to be better with your hands. You have to be better with your release and your timing to get the horse's head down. But as long as they're, respectful and listen to the bit, a snaffle is perfectly fine. So he's doing the lateral flexion pretty well. I do that every time when I get on, and then as they get more finished, I start doing it every other day, and then every couple of days, and then once every couple of weeks once they've learned. But I do this so they understand to give to the bit, and to also helps me to do the vertical flexion, which is their head down. And so if you can't do that with your horse, then watch my video. You can search for it for getting your horse soft to the bit. So he's quite good with that, and the reason I stand when we get on, horses like shortcuts, so if you get on, stand there for a couple of seconds and walk away, the horse in time will be like, why stand here, let's just walk away, and then as you're trying to get on them, they just start walking away. So always try to get on the mounting block, stand there, take your time, get on slowly, check everything, double check everything, and just kind of sit there, give them a little treat once you do, so they're in no rush to leave. Okay, now he's been doing pretty well with everything else. I always start with the circles, and he did have a day off for the holiday, so we ran him around before I got on him. I probably ran him around for 10 minutes. So the first thing I like to do, especially with the forward horses, is just some bending circles, because it gets them to be slow, but it also gets them paying attention and getting their head down and giving to the bit. And anytime they've had some days off, a lot of times, especially when they're in the learning process, they'll go back to pulling on the bit, because that's usually what they did before they got to me. So of course they just go back to old habits. That's why the more often you ride them, the quicker that'll go away. Otherwise, if you're just riding once in a while, they're always going to go back to their old habits, because they've been doing that much longer than the good habits. And good habits are hard, bad habits are easy, because, as a general rule, or a general observation, horses are lazy and people are lazy. So that's why we end up with bad habits and they end up with bad habits, because making us all do good habits is much harder, right? Like making a salad versus grabbing a burger at McDonald's, which is easier, grabbing the burger at McDonald's, although it's not good for you. All right, so now we're going to go into our serpentine. So again, this is very good for forward horses, just to come in and to do the walking. I always teach them all the one rein stop if they're super forward. He was forward, but not that bad, so we did some of it, but we didn't have to do a lot, because he actually listened to my body and my seat some, because I know he's had some training before. So we like to do that serpentine, and it helps with their bending, helps them to become more supple, and it really helps the pacey horses. And he's not pacey, he's trotty when he's loose. So we've just been doing lots of walking and circles and patterns and things of that nature. So what I'm going to show you today is, now that he could do that all slow, I'm going to do it all at a flat walk. So today's the first day I'm doing it at a flat walk. So I'm going to speed him up. I'm alternating my legs. I have some pressure on the reins to get his head down. And then as he gets better at this, you'll see I'm going to keep giving with my hands and asking him to keep it down. And every time he picks it up, I'm going to hold. But in the beginning, I had to hold pretty much the whole time, because he didn't understand. He's like, as soon as you let go, my head is going to go up, because that's what I'm used to. So now we're trying to get it. Can you keep your head down when I loosen the reins? Okay. Now again, this is much easier with the shank bit, because it kind of pushes on the top of their head and under their chin. But when it's a snaffle, it's just all on their tongue. And your horse has to be comfortable with a snaffle, because not all horses are. This one kind of has that dog bone in the middle, so it's pretty nice, gives some tongue room, but some of them still don't like it, and they're much happier in those shank bits with a big port and a wide area for their tongue. Okay. As we go around, I start off slow because he's warming up, and I know he hasn't, he had a day off, so he's got to get his brain back and remember what we're doing. So I want to start off slow, and then as I'm going around, I'm going to add more leg, and I'm going to start making his flat walk faster. Now he's a comfortable horse, but his flat walk isn't the most comfortable one. It can be just a little jarring at times, and over time, that'll get smoother the more he practices this. And he might be totally smooth out on the trail. This is just how he is in the arena. So you'll see he's relaxed. His ears are flopping. And you'll see me kind of go back and forth in the saddle, but it's a little bit hard back and forth. So what I'm going to do with him, he's on the trotty side. He's not very pacey. Is you try different things. So what if I bring your head down lower? Does that make you smoother? A little bit with him. Now, if we bring it higher, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit, does that make it smoother? So at least at the flat walk, it feels like his head down is a little bit smoother. But again, your horse has to understand what's the cue to bring my head down? What's the cue to bring my head up? Because if they have no cue, they don't know, and you really don't know, and so you can't adjust your horse like I just did to kind of check that. Okay. Now again, if they're doing the correct football, but they're a little jarring, sometimes that's just that horse and the way he moves. But again, as they get stronger, they can get a lot better. So now we're going to do our leg yield. Now this horse is very trotty, so as we go faster, all these suppling exercises in the circles, I don't want to do a lot of it because I might make him more trotty. So I'm going to do it all either at a slow trail walk, which is what I did in the beginning, and now I'm just doing it at a flat walk. Okay? And if he starts getting a little trotty, then we're going to raise his head up a little bit, get him out of the trot, and then we could bring his head back down. Now again, every horse is different. You got to kind of play around and see what works for your horse. Because when I'm training these horses, it's not like I do one thing. I teach them all the same stuff, but in different ways because they think differently, they learn differently, and they move differently. And when you have trainers working with your horses, sometimes they think all gaited horses are the same, but they're not. And they're not even the same in the same breed. They're trotty, pacey, or just gait. And it just depends on that horse and how they move. So you want to make sure, I rode so many bad gaited horses in the beginning. I learned how to pretty much ride them all. It's not like I had one specific breed. And I learned how to get them. They're all their different gaits. But you'll see some people, they ride a Tennessee walking horse and they're just doing a saddle gait because they ride Rockies all the time and they think, well, that's the gait they do or that's the gait they like. Even if you don't like the gaits, I try to make sure they can do them all so you can choose, and then the horse has more things to choose from when they get tired if you're doing endurance or long distance rides or anything like that. Okay, so this has been our leg yield. Now we're going to practice stopping and backing up. So I'm going to stop riding, still steering, take a deep breath, and I didn't even get there. And he's like, I'm smart. So now we ask him for his head down, and now we ask for a back up. Now you saw him throw his head when he backed up. That's okay, because remember he had a day off. He used to throw it up all the time. So that was a very nice back up. Good job. Good job. And always tell them when they do a good job, because they don't know. Okay? And most of these horses are people pleasers, and they want to do it right. So if you tell them, then they understand. So you give them a release or make a big fuss when they're learning in the beginning. You're the best horse ever. Okay? So I always practice the stop and back ups because that's very important on the trail that your horse will stop and back up. If they can't do it in the arena, they're not going to do it on the trail. Because it's easier here. Everything's easier here. Okay, let's try it again. So sit back, legs off, deep breath in. He didn't stop, so whoa. Now he didn't stop, and that's okay because I'm talking too, and that might have confused him. So I got his stopped, I got his head down, and now I'm backing him up. So we no longer want to accept his head's up. When it goes up and I'm backing up, I'm not going to stop backing up. Because if you do by accident and you stop and let their head go up when you're talking to your friends, Then the horse goes, well, I don't have to do that all the time. And so they try not to do it. Okay. Now, he also had to work on opening gates, and he did not like to stand next to the gate. So I like to stop at the gate, too, which I normally don't do with horses because they want to get out. But with him, I like to get right up next to the gate and stop here. Now, he moved a little to the left, so I'm going to move him over. He knows how to side pass. Make sure I can touch the gate. Look at that. What a good job. Yeah, now we're going to back up a little bit. Good job. Right, now we're going to do our turn on the forehand. So right rein, right leg. We're going to look at Shanae. Then we're going to look at the horses over there. Good boy. So quite good. He's doing really well. So now we're going to go back to our flat walk. So remember, that turn on the forehand will save you. It's also called disengaging the hindquarters. If you can turn a horse around and disengage its hindquarters, you can help yourself from getting thrown off, bucked off, bolted, all those fun things that we don't want to do, really. All right. So I'm just alternating my legs, kind of pushing his belly back and forth. You'll see his ears flopping, his head's down. He's being relaxed. Let's give to him, see if he keeps his head down. Good job. So all I'm doing now is just practicing our 20-meter circles. Circles are very important. They bend your horse. You teach the horse how to arc its body and carry you more balance. That's important on the trail when you're going around S-turns and when you're going around trees and opening gates, so the horse doesn't clock your leg into something. And the more flexible they are with their body, and the more you warm them up slow, the healthier they're going to be. Okay, we're going to go a little faster. Now, he was very fast when he first came in here, but now that we've been doing this work, guess what? He's mellowed out. But if he goes home and they don't ride him in the arena for a month, he might go back to being fast in here. So it's always good, if possible, to ride your horse in the arena once or twice a week so they don't forget what they've learned. And doesn't mean you can't ride out on the trail. A great thing to do is, get in the arena, wait for your friend, get warmed up a little bit, go on a trail ride, come back, and ride some in the arena when you get back so they don't think when they get back home it's a relief. Now there he sped up a little too much, so I'm just holding. Now he slowed down, so I release. Remember, always release when they're doing the right thing, not the wrong thing. So now we're going to go into our leg yields. You'll see his ears are still flopping. Some horses flop their ears and some don't. It just depends. And some horses just are built kind of looser. And when they get into that gaiting, those ears start looking like a helicopter. And I like that. Some people don't. So just remember, all horses don't do the ear flopping. But some of them flop their ears. Some of them click their jaws. You'll hear this. And people like he's chomping on the bit. And I go, no, he's just getting into the rhythm. Now we also did teach him to do a shoulder in, which I forgot to show you the other direction. I'll try to remember to do it this way. So he has all the basics down. He knows how to leg yield, turn on the forehand, turn on the haunches, side pass. He's doing all those things decent, and every time I ride him, I practice all those things so he gets better at them. Because if you don't practice, they can't get better. And they can't remember the cues of what things mean if you don't do them much. And that's when they'll get confused. If you don't practice or you've given them the wrong cues, they start associating the wrong things. Okay, that's our last leg yield. Now we're going to add our stop and back up. So I'm going to stop riding. Oh. Now there he dribbled. He was getting slower, but it wasn't good enough. So I had to pull on him, and we're facing his stall, so that's always harder. Okay, off we go. Good boy. So we'll go right back to the flat walk. And all I do to get right back to the flat walk is start alternating those legs and slowly push a little harder and then harder. And then I'm pushing back and forth a little bit with my seat on him, just like I'm on a swing. And I'm trying to make that swing go higher. So I just kind of squeeze my butt and push it forward and push it back. Push it forward, push it back. Okay, now we're going to stop again. So legs off, stop your butt, pumping. Good boy. And we're going to back up. Good job. So, oh, that was so good. Look, he's trying to do the turn on the forehand because he's like, that's next. And I'm like, no, not right now. So I'm not getting mad because he tried to do something that I do a lot. Okay. So now I'm going to push him over and I'm going to kind of bend him, look across the diagonal, bring his shoulders off the rail, try to push his hind quarter a little bit more towards the rail and do just a little shoulder in. Now, I usually do it out of the corner, and there I just started midway, so that was a little bit harder for him. He's like, what do you want? I didn't do it that way before. They memorize patterns and where you're doing things in the arena, so if you always do it in the same spot when you're teaching, it helps the horse to learn. So I'm looking across the diagonal, push him off with my outside leg. Now my inside leg or right leg is pushing him while I'm looking at the camera right now. Okay? So that's his shoulder in, and that helps a lot with pacey horses, okay? So overall, he's doing really well. Now we're going to stop by the gate, because again, I'm trying to make that a good place for now. Oh, good boy. Now I'm going to push him next to the gate. Good job. Okay. Now he's going to get a little treat. He's trying to open the gate, and he used to spin his butt in. And I want him just to stand parallel with it and just take a break. And then we'll go to our saddle gait next. He does have a foxtrot, but it's not the most comfortable foxtrot. And I have to work on so many things. When I'm with the horse, I can't work on too many things or it takes all the time up and I can't get any of it good. So I decided his foxtrot's a little choppy. It is comfortable, but his saddle gait is much more comfortable, so I decided to work on a saddle gait and then racking gait after that. So what will happen, though, is I push him forward when I come out of the flat walk. The next thing he's going to try to do will be a running walk or a foxtrot. We're going to skip over those and push him a little faster until we get into that saddle gait. It might start out a little pacey, and then I'll move his shoulders if we need to smooth it out a little bit more, but it is quite smooth. So here's our turn on the forehand. So look left, left rein, left leg behind the girth, push the hindquarters over, push it until he does it straight. Good job. All right, so here we go. Now, he, again, as we go faster, wants to put his head up because they taught him that, but we're trying to keep it a little bit lower so it's better for his body. So he's pulling right now. That I already gave to the bit. So when I start off, I'm going to have to keep some contact so he knows what speed to go, and I'm also trying to hold him straight because he's kind of wobbling back and forth. So I like to get their flat walk first when they're new at this stuff. So we're flat walking, throwing our head some. That's all normal. Okay, so here we go. So watch as I go through the gates and I get him up to the gate I want. So both legs closing down on him. There his head goes up. I bring his head down. Now, it's a little bit bouncy, isn't it? So you're thinking, well, was I at the step piece or was that a foxtrot? Well, that was a foxtrot. This is more a little bit going towards the saddle gate, but it's a little step piecey. So what I'm going to do is keep this speed. But as I go around, now he's trying to drift to the, now you want to go to the gate. But what I'm going to try and do is little things like leg yield and shoulder in, and just try to get him smoother and smoother. And we're going to do this for about 5 minutes or 5 times around the arena. Sometimes this guy gives little temper tantrums, nothing horrible. He'll swish his tail and be like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay. Well, you're not getting done or getting your paycheck till you do. So you just think about it, and I'll just keep asking you to do it. So as you do this gait, it shouldn't be a bounce up and down. It should kind of be a wiggle in the saddle. back and forth, and usually their tail will kind of bounce up and down as you're doing it. So if you're not sure, you're like, is that tail bouncing? Oh yeah, it is. Now right now he's getting too fast, so he's changing. And I'm like, no, you're not conditioned to go that fast yet with your head down. You're just going to throw your head up, and I want you to do that. So again, this is much harder with this snaffle. If he came with a Brenda Imus bit, which is a long shank, it's probably pretty easy to get his head down with that. So they can ride with that if they like that better. And you can usually let go of the reins a little bit more with the shanks in the beginning than the snaffles. Sometimes with the snaffle, you got to keep a little bit more contact if you don't want to go in and out of gait. Okay. Now, I don't want his head down that low. That's what he's offering to do. So I just keep working on it. It's not perfection. Now, you'll see I'm getting a little soft bounce, so that means he's going more towards a step pace. And it just means his legs are getting closer together, so I want them a little bit more separated. So we're going to try a little shoulder in as we go down this long side there. Now we're better. So again, if you learn those movements, and you've been having problems with the pace, teach your horse, you might just be like, oh my God, I just taught him a shoulder in, and guess what? I fixed all his gaits with that one little thing. I can't believe it. Why didn't I learn this before? So you might think dressage is not important, but it's very important with gaited horses. Now he's pulling a little bit. You'll see that head pop up once in a while. Now, I wouldn't mind if his head was a little bit more up, kind of neutral. But when it gets up, he pulls. So right now I have to keep it down. So see, it's not perfect. He's staying in gait, but you'll see that head go up and down. And that's just a normal thing. I don't expect him to hold it down the whole time. Now right here, he's quite good. Oh. Now he's still pulling on me. That's why I haven't let go of the reins. I want to give him a break, but I want him to stop pulling with his head down. Good job. So now I like to give him a little reward. Here's your paycheck. And then we're going to try it again. Because the only way to get better at things is to practice them. So you have to practice them enough to get the horse better. If you just go once around the arena or once around here, then you get off, or then you go on the trail and you just walk or do something else, they're not going to get better. The only way you can get that gait better is you got to practice. You got to make plans to go to an arena or trails that you can practice on. Otherwise, don't get mad, because if they can't practice, they can't get better. Okay, so when I give him breaks, I like to give him long breaks, but last time he got too long of a break, he had a little hissy fit when we went off and was swishing his tail and acting up a little bit, weren't you? I hope I told everybody what you did. So with him, he's kind of like Trace was, like give a break, but not too long. Okay, so he's trying to put his head up. I'm trying to do the flat walk. He's like, how about we do that saddle gait with my head up? I'm like, no. You're better now. You don't have to do it with your head up. All right, so now both legs squeeze. I'm holding pressure, so as his head comes up, I can catch him. Now that's a little bit more towards the foxtrot, so I touched him just a little bit with my spur. Now here's a soft bounce, and it's not that choppy bounce, so I know it's more towards his saddle gait, but he's step pacing. So here we go again. Let's move his shoulders over. That's better. So much better. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Now, some horses you can say good boy and some you can't, because people have said that word and then stop. So if your horse keeps stopping after it, you're like, that's great. Oh, that's good. Just say something else. Now, here he's very nice. Now, it's all about keeping the same speed. Can he go faster? Yeah, he can. But I got to get the football slower and consistent before we go faster. Otherwise, we'll be chasing that gait the whole time. So remember, it's not about speed. It's consistency. Get the football, get it smooth. Doesn't matter how slow it is. And over time, it'll get faster. Now right here, it goes downhill a little bit. So sometimes they can pace it. He's like, not me, I'm trotty. Now again, the first day I rode him, when his head went down, he just went to trotting. So see how much it changed in I don't even know if that was a full week ago. So I'm wiggling kind of back and forth. If I feel that soft bounce coming, I just kind of push his shoulders over, and you might not even see me do it, but I can do it either direction. I can do it to the left, or I could do it to the right. Now he's speeding up. So I'm holding, he's pulling, I'm bracing. Now he released a little bit. He's still trying to speed up. And I'm like, no. Now why did they speed up? Because sometimes it's easier to go fast than do the slower gait. Now see how he changed his gait? He kind of got trotty there, fox trotty, and he went out of our gait. And so that's also helpful, telling me, hey, you know what? This might be hard on him, and he's getting tired. So right as he's doing it well, like right there, oh. So right when I was going to stop, he threw his head up, and he started going more towards his rack. So let's try it again. Whoa. Now he's pulling more as we went up in speed, where he didn't pull much at all before. So I'm waiting. Okay, there we go. So overall, very good. But if he's been going around a bit, and then all of a sudden they start falling out of gait, they're telling you they're tired. If they were gaiting well and all of a sudden now they're just pacing, they're like, I'm tired. I'm trying to do what you want. I'm trying to keep going, but I guess what? I just got to pace. I just got to trot. I got to do something else because I can't hold this. So when they do that, just get the gait again, get it smooth again, stop, give them a break, then go the other direction. Or if you've gone the other direction, then quit. Okay? So in a minute, we're going to do the turn on the haunches. The haunches is the back end. We're going to have his front end walk around his back end, and he's going to pivot on his back end. We're going to bring both our hands to the inside like that. The left rein will be an open rein. The right rein will be indirect, right against his neck, but not over it. My left leg will be off. My right leg is going to push right at the girth to push his shoulders over. If he starts to walk away or move his back feet, I'm going to stop him and repeat and stop and repeat until we do it correctly. What's the point of this? Helps you very much with S-turns on the trail. Helps if your horse tries to spin, because once you know how to do it, say they started to spin to the left, you could do a turn on the haunches to the right, and that way it'll block your horse. So it gets your horse back in the way. And by controlling those shoulders also, it helps you a lot with pacey horses and just gaining control when they're doing screwy stuff out on the trail. Okay? So the more you can control their hindquarters and their front end, the more control you'll have out there if they start acting up or doing bad things. Because even though they do bad things, when they know this stuff and you ask them to do it, even though they're having a meltdown, they do it for us. Right? I don't know why, but they do. So it gives you much more control. Okay. So here we go. We're shortening up. Open rein, indirect rein, right leg against him. Look where you want to go. Now his head's up. So what I'm going to do, now that he's starting to get this, is each time I push him over, I'm going to stop, and ask him to put his head down. And then in time, he'll be able to do it with his head down. But right now, I'm breaking it down in steps. Good job. Good job. All right. So now we're going to go back to flat walking. So he's bulging in. So get him straight. He's pulling on the bit. So I'm going to hold and not release until he releases. Now he's bulging to the right, and he put his head up. These are all just tactics to try to get out of work. No big deal. That's why as your horse gets a better work ethic, they won't do that stuff anymore. And that's why a lot of times I tell people, like, you can come take lessons, but it's best if I ride the horse at least a couple of weeks to a month before you come, because we'll try it with them, and then it'll take me 3 days to get the horse back where it was in the learning process. So it's much better if I get the horse better, then they come, because then the horse won't try as much stuff even with them. All right, so now we're going to speed up. So we're sitting up nice and tall. We're going to squeeze with both legs, and if he gets foxtrotty or trotty, we're going to kind of push him through that and try to get him up to the saddle gate. Here we go. So head's going up. I'm holding. Head is a little bit more towards a foxtrot. Guess what? He just smoothed out. So as soon as he smoothed out, that's not a foxtrot, okay? Now, that foxtrot is smooth, don't get me wrong, but not on him, it's not exactly the smoothest. So all I did as I was talking was holding his head because he was trying to get it up like that. And as I'm holding it, I push with my legs because if I just hold, then he'll probably just stop. Now he's good, but it's step pacey and he's too fast. So I got to slow him down. That's the first thing. Then I got to get a little lateral movement. So I'm trying to move his shoulders over. Now this is much smoother. So there, I'm like, good job. Now when I let go, what did he do? He sped up. So I got to keep asking him over again. Stay that speed. He's trying to stop at the gate, which is a good thing for him. But can you stay that speed and stay in that frame? And if you do, I'll leave you alone. But he can't hold it right now by himself. He needs my help, and many horses do. And people don't want to help him. They're like, they should just do it. I go, really? How about the first time you went to the gym? Did you know how to just go in and start working out with those weights and what exercises to do and how to do it properly? So give them the contact, give them the support so they know what to do. And then in time, they will just do it. But right now, you'll see at times he's kind of going in and out of this. So it's a little bouncy. It's not bad, but that means he's going more towards the step pace, so push his shoulders over. Better. So every time you see me start bouncing up and down, it's because he's speeding up. And what I do is just half hold to slow him down, and I move his shoulders over. You can move him either direction. Okay? Now he's still bouncy, so I'm going to half hold. Squeeze, relax. Squeeze, relax. Squeeze, relax. And each horse is different on how much amount of leg you got to put on them so they keep going. There, he's a little better. Now that time when I let go of him, he slowed down. He's like, oh, we get to quit. And I'm like, no. So again, this isn't perfect. This is just taking you through the process. So you see a horse that was just trotting and not doing his gaits well, starting to get his gaits, and then in the end, you'll be like, oh, how did she get that? And then we got to teach the owner to do it. And it's much harder for the owners always versus when I'm riding them because I have the feel. I do this all day long. I'm riding, 7, 8 horses a day. And they're waiting to ride their horse, so they haven't ridden anything usually for a month. So it's much harder. It just takes time, and the more they come and the more lessons they come, the easier it gets. They show up once before that horse goes home. I try to give them a crash course, but there's no way I can get all that timing and feel in there, even though I tell them everything and videotape it. So I just try to get people to come, but if they can't, then come spend a couple of days, stay overnight. And if you can't do that, well, just know when you go home, you got to practice and the horse might start messing around with you. Now, he was much better there. He's slower, he's smoother. Now he's speeding up, but he's getting better. Now, when I let go of him, sometimes, like there, he just went to the foxtrot, so I picked him back up again. I was like, oh, that was a mistake. I'm trying to let go of you, but I don't want that. Right here, we're good. So, whoa. Okay. He was pulling, so I backed him up, but he still gets a little treat. He tried. And then we're going to try a little bit more, and this is what happened the other direction. I gave him a little break. We tried a little bit more. He did good. Oh, I can't talk. He did good for a little bit, and then he went to step pacing. So we're going to try to do a little bit more, and then see how it goes. Okay. Now, he just kind of walked off, so I'm going to back him up. And then I'm always like, I don't mind. You want to go? Let's go. I don't need a break. If you don't need a break, I don't need one. I got lots of horses to ride, so I'd rather do this faster. So I'm going to go back to his flat walk first. It's kind of getting him into the mode. Like, get your flat walk, and then we're going to go back to our saddle gait. So with him, he's got a flat walk, a little bit of a running walk. The next thing is a foxtrot, and then the next thing is a saddle gait. So see, that's a lot of things. And so what I'm choosing to do is jump over that running walk and the foxtrot because they're not as smooth as his saddle gait. Okay? But he does them all kind of similar speeds, except the saddle gait he can start doing faster, and then it's called a rack. But it's the same football. All right. So both legs on. Let's speed him up and see what he does. Keep his head down. See how it popped up? Now he went left. Now he's more Oh, there he goes. So see, each time I'm practicing this, he's trying less to trot and trying less to do a fox trot, although he still throws his head up and tries to go into a rack. Now, not bad, but he's speeding up, but we're going towards his stall. So I'm just going to turn him, and you might not even be able to see me turn him. I'm turning him just a little to the right. Now, if I remember the other way, after I gave him a break and I started going, I only got once or twice around before he started falling apart. So I want to remember that. Like, oh, he's probably going to get tired soon. The other thing I'm doing is constantly straightening the horse when I'm not turning him sideways to help with his gait, because they will bulge left and right, and that's usually why most of you can't keep their head down, is because they're bulging. So keep them right in between your legs and your hands. Now right there, I don't have much contact. He's doing pretty good. Now he's speeding up, so half halt, squeeze, relax. Now I just have a light contact. He's speeding up, squeeze, relax, little leg at the same time. Now not bad, but just a little step pacey. So let's bend him a little bit to the right. Is his tail bouncing? Yeah. Now he bulges left, so I'm holding with my left leg. Get a little smoother. So a little right bend. He's trying to trot a little bit, and I just kind of held him with my seat and my legs. I just hunkered down, and I held him and said, no, don't do that with my butt. Now right here is pretty good. Whoop. Okay. Now he's pulling. So all I'm doing is bracing, and I'm just waiting. So it's not a tug and war, because they will win. Brace yourself. Act kind of like sideways, and when they stop pulling, then you stop pulling. Good job! So that was great. And now we're going to do our turn on the haunches, our side pass, and we're going to open gates. So all these things are very important in open gates. When we first started doing the gates, he had a meltdown. He kept thinking, someone probably opened the gate, he turned sideways, they flung it open, he went flying through, and that's how they did it over and over again. So he said, that's how I do it. I'm not doing it any other way. That's a dangerous way. Gates are very, very dangerous. Opening gates, not riding the gates. So you really got to be clear, make sure they're patient, and they do it well, because if you ever get your foot caught in it, you get stuck on the lock or anything like that, it can kill you. So you got to be really patient, take your time, and show them how to do it in the arena. So now we're going to do our turn on the haunches. So left rein against his neck, right rein open, left leg at the girth. Now I'm going to stop, get his head down, good boy, and I'm going to push him some more. Look where you want to go, stop, get his head down, push him some more. Good job. Now we're going to walk off. Now that's good. Once I pushed him over, he paused. Now he's pulling on me, but that's okay. So I just brace. If you can't brace yourself, this is very difficult. So you have to have a good seat, be able to hold yourself in the seat by contracting your thighs, squeezing them against the saddle, and then kind of sitting up tall, bracing your back and your stomach, and then making your arms like a wall, like blocking them. Okay, so we've been doing our side pass with a pole in front of us, but now for the camera, we're going to try and do it without. So I went to stop him. He's pulling down. So first he pulled up, then he pulled down. Now I let go when he's not pulling. So remember, if you let go when they're pulling, you teach them to pull. So we're going to side pass them. So reins are used the same as you do with your turn on the hindquarters, and then I'm going to get his head down, and then I'm going to do it again. So he had an idea how to do this, but you see his head goes up. It's just not great form. Good boy. But he's smart enough, and he can do it both ways. I forgot one of the directions he didn't do so well when we did it the first time, but otherwise he was good. So every time I do these things, in the end, I want him to do it with his head down and not pulling, but I got to break it down in steps. So he's just got to do it, and then I ask for his head down. Good job. Okay. So now we're going to do the gate. I have lots of videos on opening gates on how I do it, and I'll tell you some of it, but if you want more detail, just go to opening gates. Remember, on the videos, you can always go into my channel, and on the top, you'll see it says videos, playlist, a whole bunch of stuff, shorts. And if you go to the end of that, it'll say search. And if you're looking for something specific, you just go into that search and type in foxtrot, Rocky Mountain horse, whatever you're looking for, and it'll pull it up. Okay. So we need this all to be slow and have him wait and be patient. It's very important they know how to side pass. So see, he's already getting ready for it. So we're going to open it towards us. No. He's trying to push it. No. So I'm not doing much right now except holding him. Now, he has memorized the steps. So did you see him turn his whole body? He did not do that when he first came here. But he's a smart horse, and he's like, I know what to do. Don't tell me. I'll just do it. I'm like, okay, just do it slowly and patiently. Okay, so now we're going to take another step up. Whoa. Now, again, in the end, I would like his head down. So you'll see when I'm releasing, I'm only doing it with his head down. Now, he's moving his hind quarter to the right, so it's a good thing he knows how to do a turn on the forehand. So I'm doing it, but I'm doing it with one hand. So I'm still trying to push his hind quarter off my right leg. So I'm not going to give up until he does it right. And then I'm going back to the lock, because they're probably going to have a lock on the trail gates. Okay? So he doesn't get a break until we're standing right here and we can touch this. Okay? Be careful with letting them shove gates. You can teach him to do that, but again, sometimes they'll shove it the wrong way, or if they're freaked out, they'll run to a gate and try to shove it, and if it doesn't open that correct way, it can hurt their neck. So you can have them help you, but don't just let them do it. Say push or something like that, so then they learn only to do it when you ask them. Okay, we're going to turn around. So when you're teaching, do it the same way. So I pulled in that way, so I'm going to pull in this way. So all I'm doing, reins are short. I'm going to neck rein, and I'm pushing a little bit with my right leg because he wasn't moving. Now, if they bend, they'll move off that right leg so you don't catch your leg on this lock. And now I'm going to push his shoulders over with my left foot. Good job. See how he's waiting? He didn't wait at all in the beginning. Good job. Now we're going to do a little turn on the forehand. So I'm going to look right leg, push his hind quarter over. Now he went a little too far. I'm keeping my hand out like I'm touching the gate, and I'm pushing him off of my left leg. Good job. Now he's going to get a little treat. Okay? So I'm not going to accept anything except what I taught. I'm like, no, you kind of did it, but not that good. You got to stand correctly, because wherever they get the rest, that's what they learn. So that's why he did it wrong, because that's when he got the rest before he got to go away from the gate. So I want him somewhat straight so I can reach this gate. Okay, so now we're going to turn around. So that time gates open different ways, so you want to practice them both ways. So I pulled it in towards me, so now we're going to push it away from me. Remember, your reins have to be short enough, and you have to be close enough. If you're hanging off the side like this, doing crazy stuff, and that horse moves, you're going to fall. I've seen people do it all the time, and I'm like, don't, and then they fall. So right now, we're going to back him up a little bit. We're going to push his whole body over, so this is more like a side pass. I'm going to hold him because he's trying to go through. Don't forget to duck if you have a top of your gate like this. So see how I'm slowly opening the gate, and then I just keep making him wait. Now we're going to go forward just a little bit. Don't push it, buddy. Whoa. And now I would have pushed his hind quarter over, but he already goes, I know what to do, Gaye. Stop telling me what to do. Mules are like that. Don't tell them what to do. Sometimes mares, too. They're like, I don't need you to tell me. So if they know how to do it, I just let them do it, and I just do the gate. Good boy. But they have to do it right. So smart horses will learn this much faster. Horses that are not so smart or don't make connections, again, they're just like people. There's fast learners and slow learners. Those horses are going to take a lot longer to figure it out and might have some temper tantrums because they get confused. And just think like a kid. They're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And you're like, yeah, you can. I'm going to help you every day. Yeah, you can. I'm going to help you. So with them, it might take 1,000 times to open this gate. And they go, oh, my God, I can do it. And you're like, yeah, you can. I told you you could. Okay? So he's setting himself up. He's like, I know right after this, I'm done. So let's see what he does. Oh, he didn't move over. So I gave him the chance. Good job. So I just pushed his shoulders over, so my leg's right at the girth. But the only reason he knows to do that is because we taught him how to move his shoulders over, how to do a turn on the haunches. Okay, well, so now Mr. Disco here, I'm trying to side pass him over with one hand. And again, in the beginning, I did this with two hands. I just kept letting go of the gait, but now I'm keeping a hand on the gait. Now we're going to back him up a little bit. Good job. So now say I do this correctly and the owner does it correctly, but she starts having other people ride this horse. If they don't do it correctly, you know what happens? It goes away. He goes back to his old ways. So everybody has to be on board. Everybody has to learn the same stuff. Everybody has to ride them the same way. And everybody has to do gaits the same way. Even if you think you're doing exactly like your friend is, you're not. So it is confusing to the horse, but don't give up and make sure they do it correctly and you're clear and you take your time. So Mr. Disco did phenomenal. Now I get off by the gate because I want this gate to be a good thing. And in time, he might get too attracted to this gate, and then we won't stop here anymore. So things change. But that is Mr. Disco. He's a great, great horse. He has lots of talent. He's a little bit of a tester, but not that bad. They all are. And he's doing phenomenal just for the second week of training. And again, I videotape a lot for owners because I want them to see things. I want them to see their horse is okay. And if they forget to ask me questions, they can look back at all their videos. So I try to do it on all the horses. And, you know, so if something ever happens to their horse, they always have a collection that they can look back on, you know, to enjoy what their horse was too. So there you go.